Welcome to the Dr. Reilly Show. I'm your host, Dr. Reilly. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Ask Dr. Reilly Show. As you know, as you should know, but if you don't know, my name is Dr. Anissa Reilly, and this is the special LA edition. Yes, as you've seen this season, season 3, we're on the West Coast doing it big. And right now, tonight, I have somebody big. You may know him, you may not know him, but trust me, you're going to want to know him, all right? His name is Tommy Duncan. I will let you know what he does, who he is, and why you should Google him if you haven't already done so. So, welcome, sir.
Wow. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming here.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. But before we get into the show, can you please let the people know who you are and why I would have you on my show?
Tommy Duncan.
Yes, sir.
41.
Yes.
From Detroit. Went to FAM.
Yes. Morgan State. Sorry.
Yeah, FAMU. Rattlers in the building.
Bears. Yes.
Oh, gosh. Married.
Yes.
Met my wife in Tallahassee.
Okay.
Yep. In 1998 is when we met. Got married in 2008. And we have 2 kids, 11 and 7. And then I'm a business guy. So I'm an entrepreneur. I've had a lot of businesses. I've had restaurants, which all flopped. Then I got into healthcare, and I've had some success.
Okay. He's being very modest, everybody. Okay. Come on.
Oh, you want more of that? I'm just saying. So yeah,
let's
entrepreneur.
put it out
I'll put it
there.
out there. So all right, okay, fine. So I've had some healthcare companies. I had one I started when I was 26, so when I was 27. Company I sold till we went public. In 2010, I was 30. I made some money.
Made some money?
I made like $1.5 million before taxes. And I also had my son that year and I had a stroke that year. So 2010 was kind of a crazy time. But then last year, January 2020, I sold my next business for $120 million.
Yes.
Yeah, an insurance company.
Can you say it again? How much?
$120 million.
120. But
Yes.
you gotta say it like that's 120 million.
120 million.
That's right. So that's why I said, if you don't know, now you're gonna know, and you're gonna wanna know who my guest is tonight.
Yeah.
So.
I look different on the internet and even on my IG page.
I think a lot of us do.
I look very professional. I am a professional. But I have a suit on.
Yeah, but this is the Ask Dr. Reilly Show, and we having a living room conversation. And so the theme for this season, so it doesn't matter what you look like, because we chilling.
I do look good though.
Yeah. I see him in real life, so
I'm just saying.
He does.
It's low key, but it's fly. I got the shoes, pants, I'm chilling. This is a black designer right here. Play It Crazy from Detroit is where I'm from.
Yeah, he got the little jewels.
I got
on,
a few jewels.
so
I got a few
jewels.
jewels. How you like this one? You seen that?
That's different.
Right?
Let me see.
I know. You like that.
So what is that?
I got this in Portofino.
Okay.
In Milan. I was there a couple weeks ago. I did a yacht trip with my family. So we did the French Riviera, Italian Riviera, about 5 countries.
I just flew to the West Coast, so yeah.
I just got here too. I was gone for 3 weeks, Yeah. But I found the dopest jeweler in the world. He's in Portofino and he's in Milan.
Was it
he made it for me.
Custom made?
Of course. And he's doing some real dope
stuff
for me
now.
now. Yeah.
That's what happens when you making.
I'm just saying.
When you selling companies.
Just saying.
Yeah.
If you can afford to do it, I like to customize.
Yes. Well, I like to customize too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go to Milan.
Let's do all that. Yeah, we're gonna do it together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm gonna hold you to that.
OSG. We're gonna do a
OSG.
we're gonna do a what do they call it? A retreat.
Okay.
An Italian Riviera retreat.
I am there. All right. For those of you who don't know OSG, watch the show, but it's official school grounds, off school grounds. I can't even say the right thing. It's off school grounds, and it's a coalition of principals, leaders, activists, politicians who have come together for the betterment of children who are marginalized and who do not have an opportunity, but we're creating opportunities for them. We're changing the narrative. So, Tommy, thank you again for being here on our show. I like to start off by asking the same question to all of my guests. It's around the theme, and the theme is love. So my question is, what does love mean to you?
Wow. Love is powerful. I mean, love is everything. But I saw something from a pastor on Instagram yesterday and talked about how love is not just a feeling. In many cases, there's a lot of work that goes behind love. It's like a responsibility. And I view it that way. I have a lot of love in my life. So my wife, we've been together for almost 20 years, married for going on 13. We have 2 lovely children, you know, and that love is a feeling and it's work.
Yeah. Oh, whew.
Right? And then I have folks that I, you know, outside of my nucleus and my family and friends that I help take care of and have relationships of love with them and with my community. So I think love is both, you know, it's pleasure and it's also can be pain. And no matter what, it's work.
Yeah. And I like the way you put those two feelings side by side, pleasure and pain, because sometimes you can love someone so much and when you don't receive the love back or you don't receive it in the same way, it can be trauma, it could be pain. Or if the person is not responding or doing, you're like, oh, you know, because you love so much.
Also, you know, I agree with that. You know, my mother died last year and it was an accident. And she and I were super duper close. Super close. Even my last business, we did it together. And other things, we've done everything together. And she had an accident and was in a coma for 3 months. And then she passed last November. And we're having a memorial service for her in Detroit on August 15th. And so love there is a lot of pain because the love was so deep and so strong and so powerful. So, you know, it's definitely painful at times.
So how do you move past that? Like what suggestions, what tips could you give somebody to get past that who've experienced something like that? Or are you past it yourself?
Nah, that's what I'm saying. I need help. No, I'm not in a position to pass help. I need help. You know, it's the worst thing that's ever happened to me.
But the way you're talking, looking, sounding, people would assume that you're okay, right? So how do you show up for yourself and show up for people without it being an obstacle?
I think it's hard, but you know, fortunately for me, I have a lot of love in my life, and my children especially, and my wife. You know, my collective family unit helps me because life moves on. Yeah. Right? And their joy and zest for life moves on. Yeah. And so in many cases, they kind of, when I've been, you know, kind of stuck in grief, they pull me out of it.
So you talked about your wife. You said you met her in Tallahassee.
Yes, Tallahassee.
Tallahassee.
Oh, sometimes.
Miss Jackson, if you're nasty. And you said you met her in 1998. So can you take us and just share your love story?
Straight up?
Yep, straight up. Hard, just.
You want the whole piece? I'm gonna do the
short
version.
Did she walk by and was like, oh.
Yeah, it was like that. So it was a mutual friend that I knew before college, and she and her had become good friends at college. It was like freshman. It was like the first week of school. When if you went to FAM, which where I went, we would go to Florida State's campus to see some other girls. You know what I mean? Just to see what was going on over there. And my wife went to Florida State. Okay. So through this mutual friend, we had like a meeting, and the first time I saw her, I fell in love with her. Yeah, it's deep. It's real deep. It's crazy, and I still feel that way. When I see her, you know, she's the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my life. And everything about her. Like I'm fully in love. You know, you seen the movie Mummy?
Yes.
You have?
Yes.
Tell us deep about that, right? So the bad dude, he came back to life to find his wife. And that's how I feel about mine. Like I think we may have been here before together. Like it's real.
That's like Aida, the story of Aida. If you ever get an opportunity and read the story of Aida, they wind up dying in the tomb together, like really giving themselves together, and they said they'll find each other again in the next life, and that's the whole cycle of the story, that they keep finding each other and keep finding, they'll die and they come back and they keep finding each other. So that's the premise of the story. So that's what it sounds like you're trying to express.
It is. It could be like that. It's interesting. But yeah, so from the first moment I saw her, I wanted to be with her.
Okay.
But it didn't work that way. So I tried to get on, and she was kind of pushing me off.
She was curving you?
I mean, I don't know what was going on. And I didn't get pushed off a lot, if at all. And so she ended up with a boyfriend for 3 or 4 years. And it was my mother, through this mutual friend, because she and I were friends. They were together. And my mother called me and said, yeah, Nicole's my wife's name.
Okay.
And such had broken up.
Oh.
And so I hit my wife with a bunch of flowers. She was at the Ritz-Carlton at the time in South Florida. She's from West Palm Beach. Sent the flowers, and we started communicating, meeting halfway in Orlando, something like that. And but the funny story is, during this period of time, it's starting to pop off.
Okay.
So her good friend, she and her husband were getting married. Well, my wife's ex-boyfriend was real close with the husband.
Okay.
My wife's real close with the
with
wife.
The bride.
They went to Harvard Business School.
Okay.
Right? They did. So my wife's going to this wedding.
Okay.
So she in the wedding, he's in the wedding on the other side. Excuse me. So I'm in Tallahassee, and I had this like food business. I was selling fries and wraps. I can tell you about that if you're interested.
Okay.
So I was kind of trapped in that business, and my wife is going to Toronto. So I get in the whip, because I'm like, I'm not gonna allow any, you know what I'm saying? No, the Kindle flames.
Yeah, you in no nothing.
You know, at a wedding, like, a lot can transact. You know what I mean? You don't know what people are thinking. So I drove by myself from Tallahassee to Toronto, straight up.
In the food truck?
Nah, with the food truck in my car.
Oh.
Nah, yeah. I got out the restaurant and hit the road. Yeah, it took me 23 hours, something like that.
Non-stop or?
Non-stop. I stopped and I fell asleep in the parking lot.
You was like, oh no.
Yeah, that ain't happening. So I pulled up at the club. It was like 11 o'clock at night. I had been in the car for 23 hours. I was funky and everything. Sweaty, nasty. I pull up.
You was like,
what up?
Nikki!
Hey, yeah.
I'm here, Nikki!
I'm here. Yeah, homeboy.
Sorry. And what did she say when she saw you?
She was so happy.
Aww.
Everybody was, yeah.
And then from there?
And then from there, yes, I mean, moved to Detroit together in 2004. Stayed with my mother for a while. And then got our own place. Lived there for 4 or 5 years together. Got engaged 2007.
And then
got married in 2008 at the Versace Mansion down in Miami.
Oh,
That's a flash.
Versace Mansion, excuse me.
And
back in the day, excuse me.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
South Beach is different now, which is a problem.
Yeah.
It was sexy back then, remember?
Oh, but now, yeah. But now it's
crazy.
Yeah, it's like everybody going.
Yeah, I know. I know. But yeah, and then, had our child in 2010 and our second 14. Moved to DC for 7 years, started my last business. It was very successful. So then a year ago, we decided to move out to California.
Okay. So you've been successful and not successful in business. And I know that there are a lot of people who either are afraid to step out or stepping out and experiencing some failure. What advice do you have for those people? Because, people want to live a life so they can get married in the Versace Mansion.
Yeah, but I actually didn't have money at that time. We took out a lot of debt, and that was a bad decision. But to your question about success, it comes through perseverance. So you just have to stay at it, and that's the decision that people have to make, right? You have to decide you're going to be in it. If you want to stay in it, you have to deal with all of the risks and pains that go along with that. But if you stay in it long enough, you'll figure it out, and it'll be successful. So that's really the key. But I will say this though, when you start a business, number one, do your homework. Okay. A lot of times people get into something because they like it. A lot of times people get into the restaurant business, something like that, they can cook or know somebody that can cook, they like this kind of food. So they get into it, but they don't really study the business. And so really do your homework. There's enough information out there to do your homework. And when you do your homework, you want to figure out, who are the dominant players in the industry? What do they do well? What do they not do well? How would you really differentiate yourself? Through marketing, through service, through product? What makes you different? Do your research, really figure out how to do the execution of the business as inexpensive as possible to mitigate your risks. And then you go for it. And then after you get into it, now you just had to have the perseverance to stay in until you figure out how to make it successful. What I find, and I've seen it, with people very close to me, in business, when somebody jumps out there and it's not immediately successful,
Yeah.
or it's immediately a failure in business terms, they get PTSD. They're scared to try again. They're gun shy. And I think that's the difference between a lot of people, because when you get into business, again, do your homework, mitigate your downside, but once you get into it, you have to have the confidence and willpower to stay in it.
Yeah.
And do what it takes to be successful, because you will reach many moments when it's time to quit.
Yeah.
And the difference between those that don't quit and those that do is you can see it financially. Yeah. And personally, like how they carry themselves, like the confidence that you get from being successful.
So I'm sure that it must have had a strain on your marriage at some point, right?
There was a period when we were in DC, because I was working like a dog. And I had done so much to make the company. And we came out losing money. I won a $550 million contract. $550 million contract as a startup. So I had no infrastructure. That's stuff I said I could do, but that was all on paper. I had 60 days to put together a full company. So I hired 60 people in 60 days. I got a office space as a sublease. I bought 70 refurbished laptops off some website. I had phone wires all through the place, and put together policies and procedures by copy and pasting somebody else's work. I went through, multiple government regulated interviews that were, a week at a time, very grueling. And then the Friday before we went live, I got a letter from Kaiser Permanente, a cease and desist on my name of my company. So the company was called Thrive Health Plan. Kaiser sent me a letter from the attorney saying you can no longer use Thrive. So I had to change the name the same day, but I had all these materials already printed. So I came up with Trusted because it starts with a T. So Thrive Health Plan, Trusted Health Plan. That's how I came up with the name. But during that period of time, that year, and I was traveling a lot, and I had a partner who was actually out in LA, an attorney who was micromanaging. And then I had the government regulators. Then I wasn't paying my claims, so I was getting $10 million a month. But I couldn't pay the claims out, which is what I was getting contracted for, so I was under investigation.
Oh my gosh.
I met with the OAG's office. I mean, it was a disaster on top of disaster. And then with my wife, it got tough because I wasn't talking to her. I had I had my son, and my wife was pregnant at the time. And I literally was not involved with anything outside of what I was trying to build in DC.
Yeah.
So it got tough.
So how did you guys work through that? Because a lot of people, that would be like a breaking point in a marriage or a breaking point in the relationship. Like what suggestions or what keys can people walk away with? Because obviously y'all didn't break up.
Yeah.
Y'all still together. So how do you get over that?
So it's the same thing with business, it's perseverance. So I told you how I feel about my wife.
Yeah. Most beautiful thing he has ever seen.
Yeah. And she views me highly as well.
Okay. All right, so your children, their names, how old are they?
So my son is Tommy Duncan III.
Okay.
She's a knockoff to knockoff. And then my daughter is Sydney Duncan.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us about Tommy Duncan, number one.
He's off the chain. Oh, my father. My dad,
number
he's special.
one.
Yeah, so, we're real tight. He's very loving. He's very loving. And he's very confident and has a lot of swagger. So that's what I got from my father.
All right. Well, tell us about that, because a lot of men, expressing love to their sons and feeling the love from their father sometimes missing, because as we hear, so oftentimes the father's not in the home. So what was it like experiencing love from a man who was as strong, as confident as you have just so aptly described?
So I grew up in a household with a stepfather.
Okay.
My stepfather, his name is Reilly. And he was a business guy. And his friends were in business. And so a lot of who I've become in business is because of my stepfather. He didn't graduate high school. He managed the dramatics for a while, but always a hustler. And his grandfather used to own gas stations in Detroit.
Okay.
And like bodegas is what you would call it.
Yeah, bodegas.
In New York. Yeah. In Detroit, they're corner stores.
Okay.
But so my stepfather was very entrepreneurial. So I kind of got that bent from him.
Okay.
And then my father was always in my life, but I would go there on the weekends and stay with him during the summer, was just very loving and hardworking.
Okay.
We just had a lot of swagger.
Okay.
You know, tall, fly.
So what did that feel like? Because some men are
But
like,
it's hard.
don't.
No, I'm gonna tell you, it's hard. It's hard. So my stepfather never really showcased love in a feeling type of way at all. On the other hand, my father shows a whole lot of love, and it's actually hard for me. I probably need some therapy on this to accept so much love from a man. I mean, I love him. I love him all my life. You know? But that part is a little difficult. You always talk about God and love all the time.
Yeah. So why do you think that is?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm a Capricorn. I have
Blame it on the signs.
The same emotions, you know. I don't know what it is. But I love my son so much.
Yeah, that's how I was going to say. So how does it translate to
I don't know yet.
the third one?
My son is 11, so he just, at this point, he, views me very highly.
You the Superman.
Yeah. But I'm super fly and successful and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you super fly.
Yeah, I am. You gotta see my son though. My son got it.
Okay.
Dame will tell you, my son got it.
At
way
11?
more swag than I had.
Okay.
Like way more. And he can hoop.
Okay, at 11?
Yeah, he can go. He can do everything. But I do, so right now I think all the love, he accepts it and he enjoys it. As he gets older, I don't know, how things will.
Okay. So as we wrap up, I have a couple of questions. So what's your favorite food?
Today I ate vegan Thai food.
So your food changes every day, like whatever you
Because right
feel?
now I'm not eating. So I was in.
Not eating?
I was in all of these countries, right?
Yeah.
And we was on a yacht and we had service galore. So after breakfast, I was having dessert.
Oh,
And I was eating bread, and I was having gelato during snack time, and I was up all night doing 4 or 5 meals a day. And I did that for 3 weeks, which is why I came back, and Dame invited me to work out.
Yeah, we worked out today.
You know what I'm saying? Right. With Columbus, and I'm trying to keep it together.
Okay.
So right now, I'm eating as little as possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
But when you do eat and you're not having this 3-week excursion of just eat what you want.
Listen, to be successful, you have to have discipline.
Okay.
That's another thing.
So you just.
I'm on discipline right now.
Okay.
We ain't eating right now.
All right.
Yeah. So my favorite food is none.
None. That's your none. Yeah,
none.
Okay. What is your favorite book to read or to suggest to people?
As a Man Thinketh. I thought about that for my son today. It changed my life. And then Outliers is a good book.
Okay.
By Malcolm Gladwell. And then another one he did, which I enjoyed, was David and Goliath.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what I believe in. I'm all about David.
You call yourself a David?
I call myself Show Enough.
Yeah, you did say that. I stand corrected. Who's the master?
Am I the
Who the master?
Am I the pretty?
Yes. Show enough.
Am I the baddest mofo down around me?
Show enough.
I can't hear you.
Show enough. I'm just falling right into it, right? And my final question is, if there's any place in the world that you could live, where would it be?
Where I'm at right now.
Oh, in California?
Yeah. I'm not too far.
Yeah.
I'm like 8 minutes from Dame's house.
Okay.
So you saw the view.
Yes, that's true.
Just pulling up. So my kids' school, they're in a gifted school called Merman.
What's it called?
Merman.
Merman, okay.
So it's for the smartest kids. You have to IQ test and all this stuff. And most of my kids are in there, which is cool. So like in LA, when you're an adult with kids, the conversation about who's the coolest and who has status, what school your kids go to, right? And everyone wants to get their kids like in the Center for Early Education, I think is what it's called, in certain schools. But then the schools my kid go to is not just about getting in. It's the highest of IQ kids in all of California.
Okay. Well,
and both of them go there.
He got swag. Number 3, he has swag. He has brains. And we didn't talk about the little princess.
She's unbelievable.
Okay.
Yeah, she's super special.
Okay.
Yeah, she's smart as a whip. Way smarter than my son, I think, in certain respects.
Okay.
But my son works hard. And he's smart too, he's just different. But he got all A's. So he's at this school, we had IQ to get in. I knew my daughter would get in. He got in, we got him in there, and he did it himself. Then he ended up getting all A's.
Okay.
He's killing them.
Okay.
But my daughter is special.
Okay.
I mean, she's super smart, confident. I'm gonna show you.
All right.
Because we had a fashion show.
Okay.
And she was kind of doing the fashion show thing.
Okay. Having a conversation about gifting the talent, that's a whole nother conversation. That's a principal panel that we could talk about, but that's exciting. Thank you so much, Tommy, for being here. I appreciate you.
I enjoyed it.
And my name is Dr. Anissa Reilly. This is the Ask Dr. Reilly show, and we out. Show enough. Peace.
We bought that action. We bought that action. We bought that action.